go.
All right, today's show is going to be fucked up.
Yeah.
Things are happening right now. We're recording this on Thursday at noon, so about 24 hours before it's going to publish. There's a lot of stuff going on in Afghanistan today, and that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to give some general updates, and then I'm going to speak very specifically about some things that are happening right now that are, it's hard to know when to call something treason. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like at what level does it selling secrets? That's obvious, right?
Yeah.
Or fighting for the enemy or whatever. But what about intentionally letting your people die? What about pursuing and executing policies that have, one, you've been warned against by the military and the intelligence community.
Yeah.
Right? So you can't say that you didn't know that that was a thing. I just wonder, I don't like to use hyperbolic language like that because I think it distracts from the actual point.
I mean, I just think that, though, I got you. Treason, whatever. I mean, at the end of the day, the shitty part is that nobody will be held accountable on this. I mean, it doesn't matter. You could fucking prove them guilty inside court. Biden's not going to jail where they deserve, these motherfuckers deserve to go for what they're doing. I mean, the question is not, okay, what level of accountability are they held? That's whatever. That's the fucking side piece, right? The issue is how long do you let this keep fucking going on? How much worse does this get? This has been, let's just talk about where this started at a week ago, right? To now. And nothing's been done. You got our vice president. Our president is fucking asleep at the wheel, obviously.
Yeah.
But our vice president is making a conscious choice to be asleep at the wheel at every fucking issue that matters. How long does this go on? How much worse does this get? In 72 hours, there'll be one or two things. We will either have the largest hostage rescue situation at hand that the U.S. has ever seen, or we will be fucking dropping hammers on shitheads and showing them with overwhelming force. One of the two will happen. By the time this comes out, one day, 24 hours after this comes out, one of the two will be engaged.
I don't know. We'll see. I mean, I think we'll know. I think we'll know certainly by the time this airs what is going to happen. It's hard to say right now. I mean, when all this kicked off, there was something, 6,000 after the buildup, right after the 82nd Division Ready Force deployed, along with their slice element. I think it was 3,500 people, plus them up to about 6,000 because I think 2,500 were already there, including, is it 1-8 Marine that's there or 3-8? 3-8?
2-8.
2-8. 2-8 Marine is there.
I think. Off the Mew.
Yeah.
But you know what the shitty part is? I think, I don't know which one's the most frustrating part here, right? I don't know which one's the most frustrating part. The part that we're not doing anything, or the part that we're not doing anything and we have the Night Stalkers are sitting on the fucking the runway. So you know who's over there with them.
Yeah.
I mean,
JSOC is already there.
They've
been there this whole time. Actually, they're not, from my understanding, I don't think they're there anymore. I think they pulled out.
But listen, we have the guys.
Remember this.
Sitting right there.
2 days ago, while all this shit was going on, while all this was building up and clearly getting worse and worse and worse, not only did Biden commit to pulling out and 4 days from now, right, regardless of the circumstance, they also continued with their drawdown. So they deployed the Division Ready Force and then started pulling people back before all of these American citizens.
I'm trying to find this quote from Biden today at his...
I'm done listening to that guy, to be honest. You know how... I'm sure you've been in a combat situation before where maybe an NCO, but more likely a lieutenant, is saying or doing something stupid, and a platoon sergeant or squad leader grabs him by the fucking face and says, "Hey, shut the fuck up, I'm in charge now."
Yep.
That's what needs to happen right now. This dude needs to get the fuck out of the way and let people that know what they're doing handle this. Because otherwise there's going to be thousands of deaths. I mean, there's going to be thousands of deaths either way.
Where the fuck's he
at
at?
this point.
Where's this quote at? He wants to be a fucking wise guy. You know, Biden is he thinks he's so fucking smart and cool. He made such a wise guy comment today in the press briefing. Basically, somebody asked him something like, you know, what happens after the 31st, and we still have people, Americans over there, or something like that. And Biden says some shit like, I don't know, I'll call you first, or some shit. It's like, fuck you. Why don't you answer the question? Like, what are you going to do, Biden? You've got U.S. Marines getting killed. You've got children. You've got U.S. citizens, period. You've got U.S. citizens over there that you have responsibility. He's even admitted that he has a responsibility to get them out.
Right.
What are you going to fucking do? What are you going to do? Who's advising this guy?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a really good question. I mean, I know that just to give people some context of why are there so many American citizens still over there? Well, here's what happened. A lot of these people are Afghan. They're dual citizenship holders, right? They're people that were Afghan citizens who immigrated to the United States after assisting the U.S. in its war effort over the last 20 years. And then the U.S. government decides that they're going to pull out on September 11th, which is fucking stupid in the first place, but whatever. They give a date. So all these people are like, well, this might be... These people are not stupid. They know 100% that the Taliban is going to come back in and completely take that country over immediately. So they go over while U.S. troops are still there, right? They get clearance from the State Department because you have to. If you're a U.S. passport holder going to Afghanistan, you have to get clearance from the State Department. They get clearance from the State Department to go see their families, probably for the last time. And then Biden initiates to pull out early, and he pulls troops out before he pulls people out. And all these people get stranded there. Now, Jen Psaki can play all the fucking word games she wants about what is and isn't stranded, but when you're fucking stuck behind a gate with armed U.S. personnel on the other side of it, and they won't let you in, and the Taliban is at your back, you're fucking stranded.
Yeah. And Kamala Harris is worried about climate change and LGBT rights in Vietnam right now.
Good for her. Good for her. I'm guessing that Biden's approval rating is going to dip even farther today.
What did I say? What did I say on the show yesterday? What did I say it was going to be at by Friday, Saturday? 30%.
Yeah. I don't know if it'll be at 30.
Want to bet? Let's put a bet on it.
30's low. I mean, it's still...
What else you got to do?
The last time I looked, it was like 67% of Democrats still supported him. It was primarily independents that didn't.
It's fucking nuts.
Yeah.
So, let's hear the facts on Afghanistan.
I'm looking at... Oh, that's... What the hell? Hang on. Oh, that's yesterday's data. All right, so... 6,000 troops maintaining control over the Kabul airport, assisting with evacuations. By assisting with evacuations, that is to say they're standing at gates, constantly requesting from the State Department to be allowed to let people in, and the State Department is telling them no. That's what I'm hearing from people on the ground. Yeah. And that's what happened last night with Colonel Kleisner from the 3rd Brigade, 82nd Airborne, who's an absolute fucking coward, in addition to the U.S. ambassador to Afghanistan, who is also a coward. On Monday, CIA Director William Burns met with the de facto leader of the Taliban, Abdul Ghani Baradar, to negotiate the evacuation of American citizens in the country. The U.S. proposed to extend the withdrawal date by 4 days, promising to hand over a functioning airport to the Taliban after cleaning it up and leaving a Turkish staff to run it. The agreement between the Taliban leader and the U.S. did slightly speed up evacuation efforts, but the request for extending the deadline was refused.
I mean, I tell you what I would do. I would fucking put, like, why don't we, just an idea, why don't we push in a Ranger bat, push them out,
set up a cordon like they're fucking really good at doing.
Push the perimeter out, which they're fucking
the best in the world at doing that. They've been doing it for fucking Delta and DevGru for years.
Go in and get these people out and let the Taliban know that if there's one fucking scratch, we will start bombing every... We're watching you. You're openly out there to us now. Yeah. We could fucking start hitting you with drones. We will blast you into fucking third world country, which you're already at. And then, you know what I would do is I left out as our last plane pulled off the Kabul airport? I would bomb that motherfucker to shreds.
Yeah, fuck those guys.
Fuck all of them.
Why in the hell would we leave them with functioning? I mean, we already gave them $80 billion worth of equipment.
Yeah.
Why would we leave them with a functioning airport as well? The deadline for withdrawing the remaining U.S. troops is August 31st, which is 4 days from today, leaving very little time to evacuate the remaining U.S. citizens still in Afghanistan. Now, I know that quite a few private military contractors are setting up operational plans right now to go back in there after the U.S. leaves. That is what, I mean, you can say what you want about money and shit like that. Eric Prince is getting some heat for saying there's a $6,500 bill per person to get them out of there. I don't know what his level of involvement is or what all that is, but that is how much it costs to get somebody out of there. I don't know. Like we've been setting up fundraisers and getting money from people for the past 2 weeks now to assist with that process. So I don't know if it's fair to say that he's trying to profiteer off that. I don't know. Maybe he is. He's kind of a cunt, so probably, right?
I mean,
Anyways,
but either way, there's a
a cost.
There's a fucking cost to get them out.
Go book yourself an international flight right now.
I think $6,500 is pretty fucking cheap to get you out of Afghanistan right now.
U.S. officials say the evacuations are likely to slow down considerably by Friday, which is today, to give the military enough time to make an orderly withdrawal. Well, good fucking luck with that, because now bombs are going on.
And let's be honest, back to Prince real quick. Let's be honest. And I'm not saying this is always 100% true, but do you think someone going over and rescuing you that's getting paid $30,000 a year or somebody who's getting paid fucking $250,000 a year, which one's going to take their craft a little bit more serious?
Sure. I mean, you get. Well, there's plenty of shitbag contractors too.
There are.
But just in this scenario, they're not going to be the ones going away. I know the people that are over there right now.
$6,500 is not. No. That's pretty cheap to get out.
No. Anyways, out of the estimated 15,000 Americans in Afghanistan, only about 4,000 have been rescued so far. Slightly more than that now. I think they've plussed up over the last day or two, but my understanding there's about 2,500 to 3,000 Americans still there. As I said before, the Americans that are still over there aren't like embassy staff or people like that. It is dual citizen Afghans primarily who, as I said, went over there to see their families for the last time, basically, because they know that they're never going to be able to see them again in their lifetime. At the current rate, there's no way, especially with all this shit going on, that we're going to be out of there by the 31st, right? So this is no way.
No.
Right? Like, how would that be possible?
If in 7 days we rescued 4,000 people.
That's Tuesday, right, of next week, which is technically Monday night here.
Yeah, no chance.
So you're right, I guess. Biden does have to make a decision if he's going to launch a reinvasion of Afghanistan or if he's going to leave those people there to die.
Yeah.
That's the choice.
This will be his defining moment.
Well, his defining moment has already happened, I think.
Well, but this will be
the straw maybe that breaks the camel's back. At the current rate, this is no way. Senator Ben Sasse has demanded that American troops remain in the country long enough to extract the thousands of remaining U.S. citizens, telling the president, quote, "Mr. President, tell the Taliban we're getting our people out, however long it takes, and that we're perfectly willing to spill Taliban, Al-Qaeda, and ISIS blood to do it."
That's a real good fucking way to say it.
It's a reasonable thing to say, as a matter of fact. I don't think it's an unreasonable thing to expect. If they want to... I think this premise is ridiculous, by the way, but if their position is that the Taliban wants to join the world stage and have some kind of clout in the international community and be listened to, then they will participate not only in allowing the evacuation of American citizens, but also in defending them against ISIS. And if they aren't willing to do that, then they don't... I mean, look, these people don't deserve to breathe air in the first place.
No.
Frankly, if you're a member of the Taliban, the best thing that could possibly happen to you is you would fucking die. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Defense officials have warned against starting a fight with the Taliban in Kabul, stating that the airport is surrounded by thousands of Taliban militants, and U.S. forces could be vulnerable to attack. I'll say this. We're fucking paratroopers, son. we're supposed to be surrounded. That's the whole fucking point. God damn it. There's a brigade of 82nd Airborne there. You're telling me that 3,000 82nd Airborne shooters can't take down this threat? Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah, it's a joke.
Dude, we've fucking, when I was deployed to Sadr City, right, we had about maybe 400 shooters and 4 million people surrounding us. We didn't get overrun. Not once. And they damn sure wanted to. We got mortared every day. Like 380 out of the 405 days we were in or at our COP, we got mortared. Great. That's a threat for sure. They tried VBIDs. They shot rockets at our building. They shot RPGs at our building. But they never fucking crossed our wire. Yep. Because anytime they fucking flinched anywhere outside there, we lit their ass up. And that is the commitment you make, right?
These
when you
people
go
prey
to war,
on weakness. So what they've been doing the
everyone
last
preys
7
on
days,
weakness.
but these people especially, they're not fucking hard warriors.
No.
Like these motherfuckers, what they've done the last 7 days is they went up. You know what they've done? They've walked up to every checkpoint, seeing what we're gonna do.
Yeah.
And when they see it's a fucking soft target,
they just send their fucking suicide bombers.
What do you
up there,
think?
yeah.
What do you think?
I mean, they already at the North Gate 3 days ago walked up nearing the end of the day and just started opening fire on people. And the U.S. response to that was to close down the gates for the day.
Yeah.
Not to put fucking snipers on the towers out there and start shooting these motherfuckers that are armed.
Yeah.
Which is a very reasonable thing to do, by the way. If you put a couple of shooters with suppressed weapons up high and people start dropping in the crowd with no noise, because you're not going to hear the report of that rifle from that far away with all the crowd noise, right? You might hear a snap if they miss. You're going to hear a thud if they get hit, but you're not going to hear the report of the rifle.
But I want to say this, like, even to be fair, even back in, I don't know, 2015, back when Obama was still president.
Mm-hmm.
I
can tell you this.
I went over
before
to
we move on
Afghanistan.
from that, Obama never would have allowed this to happen. Say what you want to about that man, but he would never.
But hold on, I will say
this.
the rules of engagement have been fucked up. Like us going
sure.
out and giving it to the Taliban have been fucked up for a long time. And I'll tell you why. I was on a post in Afghanistan, 2015 Christmas, maybe 2015 Christmas, I think. 14 maybe, one of them. Anyways, I was over there on a base, walked up to this post where a group of Marines were on this COP or FOB or whatever.
Yep.
Walked up to this post and looked out, and I'm like, is that a fucking Taliban flag right there?
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah.
Walk over there and burn it.
And they're like, yeah, we don't do that. The week before, anyways, a few days before, they had watched, literally on a drone, the Taliban go through and set all these IEDs, and then they made them go out route clearance and go clear the fucking road of the IEDs because they didn't want to engage them. They were trying to fucking show that there was that we weren't engaging them.
So they let them plant the bombs.
Yep.
And then they just went and picked them up.
Mm-hmm.
You know what we used to do? We used to put boxes with nothing in them out on the street, and it said property of the U.S. government, don't touch or we'll shoot you. And we would sit there in that overwatch position, wait for them to walk up to it, touch it, and then we'd shoot them.
Yep.
That's how you do that, by the way.
That was the difference.
Yeah, that's how you do. That's why my unit, I mean, say what you want to, but we were there for almost a year and a half. We lost 4 people.
Because they knew not to fuck with you.
The unit after that came in. They lost like 16 in the first 2 weeks.
Yep.
You know what I mean? What's Mr. Miyagi say, man? Don't fight. But if you're going to fight, win. Yep. Like there's once you cross that fucking line, it is immoral to your country, to your cause, to the people that are fighting the fucking war to not let them do whatever it takes to win. There's no morality in war. That's fucking nonsense. The morality is in society. The fact that we have the equality of opportunity for pretty much everyone here. Yeah. The fact that we don't throw gay people off rooftops, the fact that women can get educated, the fact that children don't get raped as part of our culture.
Again, this is
right. We are morally superior to these people, and whatever we have to do to end their existence.
Well, I don't know if we're morally superior to them, but yeah, I mean,
we are absolutely morally. You don't think that Western culture is morally superior to the
I don't think
East?
the United States. I don't think Western culture is. I don't think the United States of America is.
Well, not right now, maybe.
So.
But it depends on how you define the United States of America. If you define it as the 435 members of Congress, the 100 senators,
I mean, you can't go over and say that we're more morally sound than ISIS or fucking Taliban because we don't like where they're at fucking things up, and whenever they're doing the same shit in fucking Saudi Arabia, who's allowing it. Whenever you look at all, I mean, when we're over there and we're training those motherfuckers, like it's like,
well, I mean, to be fair, we trained ISIS and the Taliban too.
I mean, that's what I'm saying is,
yeah.
Like, I mean, I'm just sitting here saying, like, I got you, but like when we say, like, as individuals,
you got to delineate between the culture of America, right? The people, what you believe, what Giorgio believes, what I believe, etc., and then what these fucking predatory, like corporatist asshole cunts at the top believe. That's not the same thing.
You don't think that our politicians who are fucking allowing this go on? I mean, wrong's wrong.
Yeah, they're pieces
fucking
of shit.
Wrong is wrong.
There's a
fucking
reason.
The people who are letting the border come across. All these motherfuckers who are self-serving, who've made fuck tons of money off this war, they're all fucked. And they're equally as bad as the fucking Taliban.
They are.
They're equally as bad as the motherfuckers who are out there doing it. And that's the problem with all this is. The problem with all this is that we think that we're morally the high ground. We got kids on the fucking border. You know, we got kids. I mean, it's fucking nuts.
Well, the thing
bro.
about being
nuts that we are no better. We have individuals in the world, in the United States, that are morally better. Well, but as a whole, I don't know. We're fucked.
We're on a bad road. We're on a slippery slope right now, because the thing about being morally superior is you don't just get to plant that flag. That is a decision you make every single day.
Yeah,
right?
and
it's not just a decision for you to be morally superior. It is a decision that you not only champion moral superiority, but you fight moral inferiority, not abroad alone, but also at home, within your own life, within your family's lives, within your community, and within your country. And we have stopped doing that.
We've stopped.
Completely.
And this is the
epitome
of what America has turned into.
I think we're approaching that level. I mean, slavery is obviously America's national shame, as it's often called. But we're approaching that level now in society where, like you refer to Saudi Arabia, 80% of the primary universities there are madrasas. 15 of the 9/11 hijackers came from Saudi Arabia, not from Afghanistan.
That's what I'm saying.
None of them came from Afghanistan, right? So we continue to fucking support these people because it's in our best interest, regardless of how they treat their own people.
Yeah.
And we have allowed it because we want cheap gas, we want iPhones, etc. And now it's coming back to bite us. And I think this might be one of the most embarrassing moments in the history of this country.
Let me ask you this, today, like I got it, like while we were there in Afghanistan, it was a better place while we were there.
Right.
I mean, women got to go to school. I mean, you talk about all these people here who are fucking about women's rights, who are about, LGBT, like all this stuff, all these fucking causes that people want to push around the world, right? Where are they at right now? They're pretty fucking silent.
Yeah,
as far as what's going on in Afghanistan.
They're not talking about women's rights, that's for sure.
You know what I mean? Like they're not talking about defending women's rights.
Here's the problem, and Jordan Peterson talks about this. He actually talked about it a couple years ago when he was on Rogan's show, about intersectionality, about postmodernism, about the victim versus aggressor mentality, right? You got to be one of the two. In their world, you're either a victim or you're somebody that's victimizing other people, right? Mm-hmm. You can only be those two things. And if you put people in enough groups, I think the statistical average is if you put people into 6 groups, right? If you take you, for example, white, male, in your 30s, American, so on and so forth, like straight, all that stuff. If you take anybody and break them down like that and you put them into 6 groups, they're going to be the bad guy in at least one of them.
Oh, for
everybody
sure.
will, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Like no matter who the human being is, everybody at least, if you distribute their characteristics over 6 groups, and at least one of them, they're going to be the bad guy. That is unpalatable for these people because their entire identity is wrapped up in being the victim. So when it comes time to actually help somebody that is being victimized, whether it's by themselves or otherwise, that doesn't matter because there's no social currency attached to that, right? They don't get clout for that. They don't get sympathy from other people. And I don't know why that would be I don't even know why that would be a thing.
Yeah.
Like, who gives a fuck about that shit? It doesn't make any sense. All right, other shit going on in Afghanistan. Here we go. Blackwater founder Eric Prince is capitalizing on the situation by offering people seats on a chartered plane out of Kabul for $6,500 a person. I don't know what that conversation went like.
Yeah.
I mean, we can look it up and look into it. I don't really give a fuck about Eric Prince. I know two people personally who have sent their own private planes over there.
Yep.
And who have had those private planes returned to them with 0 people on them.
Yep.
Because the State Department would not allow them to take people. All right. So about 82,000 people have been evacuated since August 14th, which is interesting because there's still about 2,000 American citizens there, right? So we've evacuated 80,000 people, and we weren't even able to get our own people out.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
With a fucking Marine battalion and an 82nd Airborne Brigade on the ground, with JSOC stationed there, and with the Nighthawks hanging out, which you know what they can do.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you give them a couple of Apaches and a couple of Little Birds, and they will shut that situation down within a matter of 3 hours, right?
Yeah. Just
by running constant sorties. Evacuation flights are scheduled to stop on Friday again to give the people time to get out. The only sponsor we have today is GhostBed. I'm not really going to get into it, to be honest. GhostBed's GhostBed. Go to ghostbed.com/DrinkinBros. 30% off. They've got a bundle deal that's 40% off if you get the adjustable base. You know that they've got pillow sheets and all that other shit. I think they will understand if we keep that brief today.
For sure.
Afghan evacuations. Thousands of Afghans are currently attempting to flee the country before the withdrawal lasts. I mean, you can imagine what it must be like to be an interpreter or the family of an interpreter with the Taliban walking around with kill lists, right? And not only is the Taliban walking around with kill lists, if you're somebody that has females who have taken the last 20 years to get educated and become professionals, now not only is the Taliban coming and spray painting over your mural of your face that you put on the outside of your business, they're telling you to stay home because it's not safe for you. I don't know what that means, right?
Yeah.
Not only do you have to contend with all of that, now ISIS is launching fucking terrorist attacks on the congregation areas where you're trying to fucking get the fuck out of there. And the U.S. government is standing behind the gate watching it happen.
Yeah, I mean, the State Department's telling Americans stuck in Afghanistan right now to stay in their homes, while Britain has told its stranded citizens to make a run for the Pakistan border. That's what we got? To make a run for the Pakistan border.
As of Tuesday morning, the militants are no longer allowing Afghans to go to the Kabul airport, and those caught are severely beaten. Now, I know that for a fact because one of my people was beaten to death.
Yeah.
An old man was beaten to death the other night. As a matter of fact, two. I just heard about another one this morning. So 2 of my people have been beaten to death by the Taliban so far. Not ISIS, the Taliban. A Taliban spokesman said during an interview with the BBC yesterday that evacuating Afghans is a violation of the agreement made with the U.S. The State Department has also told Afghans with special immigrant visas, right, people that have already gone through the process, been cleared by the government, and have the right now to come to this country, right, not to travel to the airport and to await further instructions. I'm sure that's a comforting thing to hear from the fucking U.S. State Department. Yeah. These people see the United States as what we used to be, which is
a beacon of hope,
the prominent superpower on earth, a place, full of opportunity and hope. And we're standing there telling, this is the equivalent of Joel Osteen looking out on the crowd in Houston, right? People running away from one of the worst hurricanes this country's ever seen and telling them, you know what? No, you can't come in.
Yeah.
That's not who we are. It's not who we're supposed to be. I'm pretty sure the sign on the front door says, bring me, you're tired and you're poor. Not fucking seats taken.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. We can't say no to the border, but we can sit here and we can watch these people die.
Afghan employees at the U.S. Embassy in Kabul have expressed a sense of betrayal, obviously. I mean, they've been risking their lives for years to work with us.
Yeah.
And just like we did to the Montague Yards in Vietnam, just like we've done to, just like we did to the people who eventually became the Taliban, the Mujahideen, just like we did to the Kurds in Iraq, we've done this over and over again. Why would anybody ever trust us again? Is a question you have to ask yourself. And it's, I guess it betrays the fact that the U.S. government hasn't been trustworthy in our lifetime, or probably not our parents' lifetime either. Frankly, I can't remember the last time we had a president that I thought I could be proud of. Maybe Eisenhower was the last one. Probably Eisenhower.
Definitely not.
Obviously,
been in
we
our
weren't
lifetime.
alive for that.
Definitely not been in our lifetime.
Ross was alive for that probably, but not us. Last Saturday, embassy staff were told to pack food and personal belongings and head to the Kabul airport for evacuation. So the State Department and the DOD were encouraging all these people who had worked with the government, hey, go to the airport, we'll get you through the lines. They left them out there for days with no food or water. I mean, we've seen the video of that young Marine.
Yeah.
Probably, it seemed like he was probably a corpsman, just walking around, giving kids water and shit like that. That was the water they got for that 5-day period, was some dude coming out and handing it to them. They didn't have anything. As a matter of fact, some of the people that were sent there who were reaching out to me said, hey, we're out of food and water. We're out of money now. We have to leave. Like, we can't just stay here and starve to death waiting for a fucking airplane. Last week, Syra International, a Washington-based development firm, lined up plans to take 1,000 Afghan refugees to Uganda, whose government has offered sanctuary. Canada's also offered sanctuary. A lot of people are in Dubai now, as you know.
Dubai, yeah.
According to company co-founder George Abi Habib, Marines at the airport gates refused to allow Afghans with seats on the plane to get inside. Now, what we were told was that if your name is on a manifest and you can prove that, then you'll be let through the gates and allowed to get on that plane. Now, we sent them the manifest, and they told them to leave. The Joint Chiefs told us that that's State Department making that decision.
Well, it's not the
Everybody's
Marines.
looking for somebody else to blame.
Yeah, but I mean, it ain't. I promise, the guy at the gate is not the one making decisions.
No.
They're doing what they're told.
Yeah.
I promise you, the guy that's standing with a rifle at the gate is doing what he's fucking told.
Yeah, 100%. Abi Habib claimed that one woman from Uganda had to crawl through a sewer pipe to get into the airport and catch a flight out. After days of trying to resolve issues, one plane with 345 seats was forced to leave Kabul with only 50 passengers. I know that for a fact. Another flight was organized by Ukrainian activists. Ukraine, who is under constant threat of war from Russia, right, has still tried to help these people. They tried to evacuate 40 high-risk women, that is, women who are either family members of or have worked directly with the U.S. government. Why the Ukraine would be trying to help us out is beyond me, to be honest, after how we've acted. But guards at the airport refused them entry as well, and after waiting for 2 days, the flight left without them. American universities such as Georgetown and Johns Hopkins have organized their own rescue programs and successfully evacuated hundreds of Afghans from the Kabul airport so far. Although rescue attempts are underway, there are still thousands of Afghans waiting evacuation that will likely be left behind. Likely as in certainly, unless something is done today.
So I think something's going to be done. I can't give up on the United States of America like that. We fuck up, but usually we try to fix it.
I don't know that I agree with that. I don't know that we're going to do anything.
Well, we're going to know. We're going to know today.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, this is a couple days before the show comes out, or the day before, 24 hours before this comes out. But we're going to know today. He has to respond to this.
You would think so.
In my mind, this is the worst move the Taliban could have made, or ISIS, whoever. Right? This is the worst fucking move they could have made. You want to talk about a sure way to keep us there and about to fucking wreck your world and make it a little harder on you? I think they just did it.
Well, I mean, I don't know what that looks like because the ISIS is taking credit for the attacks, and the U.S. government is already giving them credit for the attacks, right? So how do you hold the Taliban accountable for that at that point?
I mean,
like, what is Joe Biden? I know he's not saying anything to anybody because he's a fucking puppet. But what is the administration saying to the Taliban right now? Like, hey, get your shit together. And they're going to be like, we have a bunch of goobers walking around with guns they don't know how to use. What are you talking about?
It doesn't fucking matter whether it's Taliban, ISIS, HAQ, whoever the fuck it is. It's people hurting the United States of America at that location.
Yeah.
And we're going to push out and we're going to fucking stop this. But either way, whether it's ISIS that blew it up or not, who's prolonging us of trying to get the fucking people out? The Taliban.
This is a good opportunity just to kill every one of those motherfuckers. But
I agree.
again, if this administration had the balls or the intent, like the balls to do something or the intent to save American lives or our reputation even, that would have been done already. I think any move they make at this point would be disingenuous. Even overwhelming military force would not be enough to save his legacy.
I agree.
So we talked quite a bit about the people, and it seems maybe we're getting ahead of ourselves to talk about the aftermath of all this, because who knows what it's even going to look like. But I can tell you some of the details of what it's going to look like already. So at least 75,000 vehicles, 600,000 weapons, 208 aircraft have been left behind and are now in possession of the Taliban. Among the vehicles are 50,000 tactical vehicles of one sort or another, 20,000 Humvees, right? That's about 150 grand each before they put the comms equipment in them. 100,000 mine-resistant vehicles, which I assume they mean MRAPs. 150 armored personnel carriers, APCs, which are Strikers or I don't know if they're still Bradleys over there in service. We left some shit from them before, but something like that. Between 2017 and 2019, the U.S. transferred 7,035 machine guns, which would be 240 Bravos and 249 Saws, 20,040 hand grenades, 2,520 bombs, 1,394 grenade launchers. I think maybe what an M203 is what they're talking about, or a 320
or
WHK.
a Mark 19.
Or Mark 19, yeah. That's all the Afghan military, and those are all now in possession. The Taliban's now in possession of all that as well. It's also about $200 million worth of drones that are still unaccounted for. I don't know what that means, to be unaccounted for.
Yeah.
Like if this shit was unaccounted for at the company level, the company would be living in the company right now, right? Until somebody finds the nods or whatever is missing, right?
The Taliban will be, well, it's unlikely. The Taliban will be able to operate the more advanced aircraft and equipment. It still gives them propaganda boost and carries. Did you see that video where they were trying to drive that Black Hawk around the fucking airport? So here's why I'm not worried about.
They got it about 10 feet off the ground.
But here's why I'm not worried about the aircraft. They can't keep them in maintenance.
Not only can they not keep them in maintenance, but they don't know how to use radar or ISR. They don't know how to.
I mean, you could learn that, but like either way, you can't you're not gonna keep the maintenance up on those fucking things. You know what I mean?
No, they don't have the equipment. No. They don't have the
fuel,
the whale sperm, the fuel, none of that shit to keep that stuff lubricated or whatever. Yeah.
So, life under the Taliban.
Yeah, this is the interesting part to me in today's conflict, because with regard to what you're saying, because you say it doesn't matter if it's the Taliban or ISIS. Now, here's where you're right about that, because they're both cunts, right? These organizations don't exist or don't deserve to exist.
No.
And they can't exist. In a free society, you can't allow organizations like this to exist. So the Taliban leaders who negotiated the withdrawal agreement have said that they want to create an inclusive government that won't threaten anyone and that will prevent terrorist groups from operating on Afghan soil. Well, you've seen their incapability of that today already. Mm-hmm. We've also seen that they are rounding up women, fucking them up. They're spray painting over any kind of fucking female mural that exists. They're telling women to stay home for their own safety. So that's bullshit, right? I mean, we can all agree that the Taliban cannot be taken at its word, right?
Yeah.
I feel like that's pretty reasonable. I suppose the counter to that would be, can the American government be taken at its word? And the answer to that is clearly no. Right? We've fucked them over just as hard as the Taliban has at this point. I mean, who is more evil, the fire or the person throwing you into it?
There you go.
Although the Taliban has been attempting to present themselves as a reasonable state actor to regional powers and the West at large. Reports from Afghan citizens show they have done little to change their ways. Music is now banned by the insurgents. Men are being required to grow beards again. Fuck. Women can't leave their homes without being accompanied by a male relative. So within a week, Sharia law is taken back over in Afghanistan.
Yeah.
Beatings and public executions are being carried out on a regular basis, often without a formal trial. I know that because 2 old men that I was trying to get evacuated were beaten to death within the last 4 days. One report states that a man who's been accused of kidnapping was publicly hanged, riddled with bullets, and his corpse left as a warning to others. I mean, that part I don't really care about.
Yeah.
To be honest, that kind of tribal justice is pretty common over there. Like you see in America, it's funny to juxtapose that because in America, especially with conservatives, if a guy was caught like hanging around a school or something or being weird with kids and the dad beat him to death, he's going to get charged with a crime probably, but people are going to be like, fuck that guy.
Yeah.
He should have beaten him to death. You know what I mean? So that one is, I guess, what it is. Without more context, it's hard to comment on that. Afghan citizens have reported Taliban militants going door to door, abducting and raping women. Now, obviously, we've crossed the line.
Yeah, that's a big problem.
And what I don't hear is Kamala Harris, AOC, Pelosi, all these women who seem to have been so concerned with women before.
Ashley Judd.
These women who lobbied to get $15 million added to the COVID relief bill to do gender studies in Pakistan. That $15 million would have bought a lot of seats on Prince's airplane, I'll tell you that.
For sure.
One former Afghan police officer reported seeing insurgents raping corpses when no living women could be found. Is it?
And you want to, and people want to negotiate with them? These are animals. These aren't people.
According to Ashley Jackson, who has spent years researching the Taliban, since losing power years ago, they have become more organized and dangerous, and she says the following. They never had, or they didn't have this level of organization, and certainly not this level of education or sophistication. That doesn't mean they're more lenient. They're just more savvy now, right? So what we've done is taken the worst people on earth, spent 20 years training and arming them, and then abandoned the people that we said we came there to help in the first place to those assholes that we trained and armed.
So instead of, I could probably swallow if we left it in a better than we found it, but we didn't.
No, we didn't even come close. I mean, it's almost as if we didn't even try. But I mean, that's what it seems like, right? When you don't have a plan. If you're let's just say you were in a mixed martial arts fight, right? And you just come out and punch yourself out until you're tired. People that know fighting would say, this guy didn't even try to win. He just came out and threw a bunch of punches and hoped for the best. You're basically just trying to land a lucky shot at that point. There's no skill or strategy involved in that. And there was no skill or strategy involved, not only in the invasion of this country, right? Certainly not the last 19 years post-invasion where we've been occupying it and done nothing at all, right?
Yeah.
To actually make that place better.
And you know what's crazy is like, what time did this bomb go off?
I don't know what the local time was, but it was like, I think 9:30 a.m. our time this morning or 10 a.m., something like that. And
it's 1 o'clock, and we still haven't heard a fucking thing from Biden.
Well, he doesn't wake up until noon, so he's only been up for like an hour.
No, come on. Really?
When is he ever awake? He's been giving press conferences on shit and then turning around and walking out.
Well, I do know this. I know he's in the fucking war room right now. I know he's been down in the war room.
Oh, why? Did they put a fucking picture of him on Twitter? Mm-hmm. In the war room?
Yeah, he's in the war room. Where's it at? Yeah, he's down in the war room right now, getting his strategy together.
This is usually something you do before, right? So we went through the timeline last week on how this all went down. That narrative that Biden and Psaki were trying to push, we can't believe how the entire country would have fallen in 11 days. Well, it didn't. This all started back in May, right? And it was, but regardless of the fact that it started, the advances of the Taliban started back in May, we knew this shit was going to happen years ago. People have been talking about this for years. Like, whenever we pull out, it's going fucking ape shit.
Everybody knew that.
So if you know that, and we did, then what you don't do is pull out all your military resources before you pull out all your people, man. We knew that August 31st was coming. Joe Biden's been in office for a while now, since January of this year. At any point, he could have said, you know what we're going to do is get all of our people out.
Yep.
As soon as fucking possible, right? We're going to vet people for SIVs. We're going to do everything we can to get all of our people out. And then we'll pull the military out. We're not going to abandon our most strategic airbase and pull all of our ground forces out and then have to send 4,000 of them back.
Yeah.
This is the dumbest execution of anything. It's so dumb that it seems intentional to me. I can't imagine how somebody could be this stupid. Right?
Well, I mean, I don't think they underestimated the Taliban. You know what I think they underestimated? Is the American people giving a fuck.
Maybe, yeah.
They didn't underestimate.
They thought people were more.
They thought people were not going to give a fuck and say, we just went out of there. It's not our problem. I promise you, they knew this was going to happen. They knew damn well all this was going to happen, and they knew they were fucking up. But I promise you, they never thought it was going to get the press that it is. They never thought, like nobody's even talking about ISIS in Iraq anymore. They thought they were going to be able to do the same shit. And guess what? Ain't happening.
No, it's certainly not going to happen. And it'll be interesting to see what happens next. I mean, look, I'm on CNN's website right now. Pentagon confirms U.S. service members were killed in the attack in Kabul. There's a lot of stuff covering the attack. And then the other two major headlines here are that Capitol Police are suing Trump over the riot on January 6th, which is interesting. They're calling it a riot and not the insurrection anymore.
Yep.
I don't know why that's changed for CNN. And also the hurricane. But what I'm not seeing is anything from anybody in the administration. I'm not seeing...
Well, this keeps going up. So it's so on Daily Mail right now, they're saying 4 U.S. Marines are killed by suicide bomber, and 60 other are killed. It just keeps going up.
60 additional Afghans?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've heard that. I've also heard that it's 10 Marines, but I haven't confirmed that yet. I'm still waiting on information. But again, I've heard nothing from the president of the country, man.
Yeah.
The guy who's the president of the fucking country hasn't said shit.
I'll tell you this. Hate Trump all you wanted. He would have already said something.
Well, he would have probably done something, right?
Oh, yeah. He would have fucked them up.
But yeah, that's what...
But I don't think they would have done this if Trump was in. I'm going to go ahead and say that statement. People can say, oh, you know, whatever. And as you all know, I've criticized Donald J. Trump, as much as anybody.
Yeah.
But I don't think they would have fucking done this if Trump was in. You know what I mean? I don't think they would have had the balls because Afghanistan the Taliban knows that he would have fucked them up.
Yeah, I mean, it's a basic principle, right? That projecting strength is important on the national stage, particularly when it comes to conflict and things like that. I mean, if you think about a smaller version of that, if you have two parents, one who's a disciplinarian, one who just doesn't really give a shit about that, when the disciplinarian is gone, the only threat that keeps your behavior in a left and right limit is that they're coming back at some point, right? Or that the person there representing them carries their weight and will.
Yes.
And when you look at who is supposed to be the disciplinarian, which is the commander-in-chief, that's why they call it commander-in-chief, is a senile old man who lets his social media team post videos about a fucking out-of-control White House intern that's gender neutral and he's got fucking fingernails. Are you fucking kidding me? I assure you that is the moment when the Taliban decided that they were going to fuck this up.
Let's just pray that Biden is not saying anything right now because we are about to fucking unleash hell on them.
Yeah, if that happens, still I think he should be. I honestly believe that he should be impeached for his behavior here. I believe that the Joint Chiefs should be relieved of their commands. I believe that if what I'm hearing about this Colonel Kleisner of the 82nd Airborne is true, then he should be court-martialed for his behavior. I believe that the ambassador to Afghanistan should be put in prison for leaving Americans to die. Because, say what you want about Benghazi, but that ambassador put everybody except for himself before himself.
Yeah.
It's what a good man does. And we're seeing what fucking weak men do. This is what Jordan Peterson's always talking about when he says that men should be strong and powerful and all that stuff. It's not about dominating other people. It's that weakness betrays itself in the most sinister and evil ways, in cowardice, in insecurity that leads to violence.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Biden has to do something. Quote me. He has to do something. 6 days ago, he said there will be reprisals if any U.S. forces were attacked. So he's got to do something. Checkmate.
I don't think that's going to happen. I think there's going to be enormous pressure on him to do something.
I think he does something.
But I don't know. He doesn't have the wherewithal. He doesn't know what he's doing, man. Obviously. I mean, you have to make one of two assumptions. You have to assume that he is completely incompetent when it comes to war and foreign policy and understanding human behavior and all of this shit, or he's letting this happen on purpose. It's one of those two things. I don't know which one's more likely at this point. I've seen these people turn on their country faster than I ever could have expected, to be honest. But best case scenario is that he's completely incompetent and has no idea what he's doing. Now, in other administrations, you might say, well, turn to the military. Turn to the military, to Lloyd Austin and Milley. Turn to these guys that are concerned with climate change and COVID and fucking critical race theory instead of goddamn war, which is your fucking job. Turn to these guys. No, you can't do that. And look at how far down the line it's gone now, with a brigade commander in the 82nd Airborne allowing a fucking ambassador to tell him to leave Americans out to die, women and children.
Why don't you tell a story about what? About some people that were able to come through last night.
Some people that were able to come through? What do you mean?
But that we're now turning people away.
Yeah. I mean, so did I not say that on this show already? Yeah, some of our people are over there right now. They were able to go out into the city with a small team and grab about 400 people, primarily women, children, mostly dual American citizen or family of, and a lot of Christians also that were hiding that had reached out. And they were able to bring about 400 of them in to the gate. And because the ambassador to Afghanistan and the 82nd Airborne commander there, the 3rd Brigade Commander Kleisner, didn't like the way in which they went about it, they kicked them out, left them to the whims of the Taliban, and then hours later, a fucking bomb started going off. 60 people are dead. We don't know if it's them or not. But doesn't matter if it's them or somebody else? No. People, it's fucking mind-boggling to me that veterans and private companies have had to push the military and State Department out of the way to go get this job done. This is one of the most embarrassing points in American history. And it's one that brings me back to a couple of weeks ago. We were talking to John Troxel, the former SEAC, right, the former senior enlisted guy in the entire U.S. military, about who's going to fight this next war. Because it damn sure isn't going to be these kids in uniform right now. And a lot of people look at me and scoff like, oh, they'll figure it out, whatever, blah, blah, blah. When it comes down to it, they'll do it. No. We're seeing it right now.
Would you?
And I'm not trying to criticize the people that are in uniform right now.
No.
If you're privates and specialists and sergeants, I believe in you. But I do not believe in your officers, and I damn sure don't believe in your leadership.
Let me ask you this. Would you join today knowing what you know now?
Fuck no. And if I was in today, I would be doing everything I could to get out. Frankly, the benefits that you get, the GI Bill and the VA home loan, aren't worth it. It's not worth it. If that's the deal, if you don't get vaccinated or whatever the fuck, and they're going to kick you out and take your benefits, fuck them. Take the deal. Get out. Because we're not fighting for shit anymore. The next war is going to be fought by dudes in street clothes.
Yeah, like it should be.
To be honest. And you know, maybe it should be like that. Maybe we don't need this giant standing army. Maybe we don't need that. Maybe we need to train every American citizen, right, to fight like their fucking life depends on it, because someday it's going to. Right? Stop posting pictures of yourself in Gucci flage and fucking kid on the internet like it's a glamour shot, and actually train yourself, not just physically and it's shooting and all this stuff, but mentally preparing yourself to deal with a combat climate. Right? All you veterans who are out there, you can do that already. You can put yourself back there in an instant. Like you can flip that switch and nothing else matters. And it seems like you're detached and insensitive and all that shit. I'm sure that's a problem that a lot of people have when they first come back, and their family's like, dude, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah.
Nothing's wrong with me. That part of me exists to protect your ass, right?
You only fight evil with evil.
Yes. Well, I mean, what did Stallone say in Rambo? If you want to survive war, you have to become war, right?
Yeah.
I'm not telling you to go out and get violent.
No.
I'm not telling you to be aggressive and expect, you know, a fight at every turn. What I'm telling you is that there's some bad shit coming right now. And if you're not seeing that clearly right now, you really need to start paying better attention. Because you guys just aren't going to fucking make it, man. It's just not going to work like this. We can't keep doing this. We've lost our ability to reach out. So what you're talking about in the Kabul airport is standoff, right? We put Rangers and 82nd on the ground. They seize the airfield and push out a 3-mile perimeter. That is what these people do. That's whenever we did mass tactical fucking airdrops at Fort Bragg and training. The point of it is to seize that airfield, set up a perimeter, and then start pushing out. And then our fucking engineers come in and start running operations on that base while we continue to push out, set up fucking OPs, start running patrols, et cetera, et cetera. That is what the special operations community does.
And they're
as a matter of course, all over the world, right? So we set up bases here and there, and then they launch from those bases to create international global standoff. So terrorist organizations can't get comfortable. So they can't sit there and look through binoculars at us like they're doing right now in Kabul, send people in, walk around, see what it's like, and then send in the suicide bomber. We prevent that by creating standoff. We've eliminated our standoff.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much it, right? I don't know what else to say about that. We're going to have more on this next week. We've got a couple of special shows next week. One of them, we may actually end up doing 3 next week. I don't know yet. I'm interviewing that North Korean college student on Monday that we'll have. We're also going to do a show on the pharmaceutical industry and how the FDA is funded by Big Pharma. Yep. Right? And that's not a conspiracy theory. I will lay out all of the facts of that case and how it works. And we're probably going to have something else to say about Afghanistan as well.
For sure.
So tune in. Until then, we'll see you in hell.